We're told from our very first science class that space is a vacuum, a perfect, dead, and total silence. That is a lie. It's not silent. It's just speaking a language our ears were never meant to hear. It's a language of plasma waves, electromagnetic fields, and magnetic storms. A language that scientists can record, translate, and listen to. They call this data sonification. But when you translate the voice of the cosmos, you don't get a beautiful symphony. You get a chorus of ghosts. Tonight, we're listening to the most unsettling sounds scientists have ever recorded. These are the real, creepy sounds of space.
The first creepy sound from space wasn't alien. It was ours. October 4th, 1957, the world is holding its breath. High above the atmosphere, a tiny 23-inch metal sphere is broadcasting. This is Sputnik 1. For 22 days, radios around the world tuned in, and this is what they heard. It sounds simple, almost pathetic, but this was one of the most terrifying sounds in human history. Why? Because it wasn't just a beep. It was a political statement. It was a cold, robotic pulse circling the globe, reminding the entire Western world every 96 minutes that they were being watched from above. It was the first time humanity had placed a voice in the void, and it was the sound of paranoia.
Now we go deeper, out to the king of the planets, Jupiter. This planet is not a quiet, beautiful ball of gas. It is a monster. Its magnetic field is 20,000 times stronger than Earth's. It's a churning, violent engine that traps storms of electrified particles, plasma. In 1979, the Voyager spacecraft flew through this magnetic field. In 2016, the Juno probe did it again. What they recorded wasn't wind. It was the sound of this plasma being accelerated and ripped apart. This is the howl of Jupiter. Listen to that. It doesn't sound like physics. It sounds alive. It sounds like a creature breathing or wailing in the dark. This is the sound of a planet that is terrifyingly active. A protective parent star whales singing to its moons, or the roar of a cosmic beast. When Voyager scientists first heard it, they were stunned. It was the first time we learned that a planet could scream.
From Jupiter's howl, we go to Saturn's chorus. For 13 years, the Cassini spacecraft orbited Saturn. It was one of the most successful missions in human history. In its final act, it performed a grand finale, diving through the 1,200-mile gap between the planet and its rings. No probe had ever been there, and it was not an empty space. Cassini's instruments recorded the sound of thousands of particles, plasma waves, and electrical fields swirling between the rings. This isn't the sound of a single voice. It's a crowd. That is the sound of being inside a storm of ice, dust, and electricity, all moving at 50,000 miles per hour. The scientists describe it as an organized chaos, a chaotic, crackling, whistling static that sounds like a machine on the verge of breaking. It's not the beautiful, elegant sound you'd expect from the most beautiful planet. It's the sound of a million tiny, violent collisions. It's the sound of hell.
But all of these sounds, they're translations. They're radio waves and plasma converted into audio. But what if I told you scientists found a real, actual acoustic sound wave in space? A note so deep and so ancient, it changes everything. We have to travel 250 million light years away to the Perseus galaxy cluster. In 2003, NASA's Chandra X-ray Observatory was examining this cluster. They found something baffling. There were massive concentric ripples in the superheated gas that fills the cluster, like ripples on a pond. But what could cause them? The answer was at the center, a supermassive black hole. It was burping or humming, sending out immense pressure waves, actual sound waves that have been traveling through that gas for billions of years. Scientists measured the distance between these ripples and calculated the note. It is a B flat, the single deepest note in the universe. The problem is, it's 57 octaves below middle C, 1,000,000 billion times deeper than the human ear can possibly hear. So scientists did what they do best. They pitched it up. They raised the frequency by 57 and 58 octaves, just so we could hear it. This is the sound of a black hole humming. That is the oldest and deepest voice in the cosmos. A low, haunting, endless vibration from a monster that is, quite literally, singing.
These sounds get under our skin. They terrify us, not just because they're creepy, but because they are real. They are the sounds of forces we cannot see, on scales we cannot imagine. They sound organic, like our own heartbeats, our own screams, but they are completely, terrifyingly alien. We thought space was a silent, empty void. We were wrong. It's a noisy, violent, and incredibly weird place, and it's been waiting for us to finally listen.